Thank you for inviting me to speak here today. This is truly an honor. My name is David Ogletree, and I'm currently an employee of Vocational Guidance Services in Cleveland, Ohio. You might recognize me if you went to the NISH National Conference in Orlando back in May. I won the National Usdane Award. The Usdane Award is given out once a year to a person with a disability who shows outstanding achievement and exceptional character. This award is named after the late William Usdane. He was the Assistant Commissioner of the Rehabilitation Services Administration. He worked very hard to help people with disabilities. It is because of people like William Usdane that I have a job today. Since March of 2010, I've held a full-time job as a final inspector of military uniforms. I work on an AbilityOne contract. I inspect uniforms that are manufactured for the U.S. Army, Marine Corps, and Navy. I inspect about 130 pair of trousers a day. Every day I trim loose threads, I check for holes, or any defects in the garment. I check everything from the buttons, to the belt loops, to the zipper, to the hems. If I see any defects, whether they're big or small, I mark the errors and send the trousers back to be fixed. Sometimes the errors can be easily fixed, and sometimes they can't. But I'm a very strict inspector. I demand perfection. I am like the police. During the inspection, it comes easily to me now. Sometimes I catch myself inspecting my own clothes. My job is an important part of my life. It shows that I'm a valuable person in my community. People appreciate me and people need me. People recognize my contributions, but I do not always feel this way. I have some difficult times in my life. I have some obstacles that I had to overcome. Let me tell you a little bit about my life and how I got here today. I was born on January 24, 1987 in Montgomery, Alabama. No one knew it at that time, but I was born with a mild form of autistic disorder. According to the Center for Disease Control, autism spectrum disorders are a group of developmental disabilities that affect social and communication skills. The CDC estimates that the average in 110 children in the U.S. has an autism spectrum disorder. The cause of autism spectrum disorder is unknown. There is no cure. There is no blood test to find out if you have a form of autism. Doctors have to observe your behavior to determine if you have it. Autism spectrum disorders occur in all racial groups. The rate seems to be increasing in America, but no one can prove why. One of the signs of autism is delayed development. That's how my parents found out about me. Most children just had a few words by the time they are 1 year old. But I did not say anything until I was 3 years old. I had a speech delay. This made my parents concerned. So I had some tests and I was diagnosed with a mild autistic disorder. I had problems socializing. Sometimes I just want to be alone. You could say that is my comfort zone. My parents struggled to find the right school for me. I moved around the country to live with different family members. I lived with my grandmother in the south side of Chicago. I lived with for a few years. Then I moved to a small town called Forsyth, Georgia. I lived with my other grandparents. Then I spent a few years with my mom in Glenwood, Illinois. It's a suburb. Glenwood is about 30 miles south of here. Then I went to high school back in Georgia. I was placed in special ed classes because of my autism. Most of my classmates in special ed had more significant disabilities. So I didn't feel like I belonged in special ed, but I also didn't feel like I belonged in regular classes. So I went through high school feeling out of place. Socially, I struggled, but academically, I performed well. I had a B average. My test score shows that my skills in reading and spelling are higher than the 12th grade level, but my math and sentence comprehension are lower than the 6th grade level. I can read anything, but I do not always understand what I just read. This is common for people with autism. I graduated from Mary Persons High School, class of 2005. After graduation, I moved in with my grandmother in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. I was tired of people telling me what to do and where to go. So I told my grandmother I need a job. In July 2009, I went to an organization called Vocational Guidance Services. I enrolled in their placement program. This is a program that helps train people with disabilities to join the workforce. They teach you interviewing skills and help you develop a resume, of course. I took some tests that helped me find my strengths and weaknesses. My strengths is that I'm prompt, reliable, and motivated. My weakness is socializing, of course. I don't feel comfortable socializing with people I don't know. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, and sometimes I need to take a break to refocus. The counselor had a good idea. She recommends that I get a job around things and not around people. We found a job opening that sounded like a good fit. It was a job as a clothing inspector in another department of VGS, also known as the sewing department. I practiced my interviewing skills and my handshake. I took the bus to the interview. I brought my resume, of course. I was prompt and prepared. I met with Mr. Octavio Cagano. He explained the importance of the job. He told me the 3 most important traits of an inspector are integrity, integrity, integrity. Then he asked me a difficult question. He asked me, why should we hire you for this position? I told him that while I did not have any experience, I did have a good attitude. I told him I would be on time, I would put forth an effort, and I would do a good job. He looked me in the eye and he knew I was telling the truth. This reminded me of that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, starring Will Smith. This is a true story about Chris Gardner. He was homeless, but he became a millionaire stockbroker. He worked hard to make his own opportunities. He was the same as me. I knew I wanted a job, and I went for it. And I was pursuing my own happiness. And this was one of the most important moments of my life. When the interview was over, Tavy shook my hand. He told me, congratulations, you got the job. It was a great feeling. My first day on the job, I learned how to inspect garments. Tavy showed me what a perfect garment looks like, what areas to look for, and I met the other people in the factory as well. And they all seemed nice. And I went home to my grandmother, and she asked me, how did it go? And I told her, I don't really know, I just started it. But I want to go back the next day, because I need some money. I knew that being independent means having a job. I've been working there for a year and a half now. With practice, I became an expert at inspecting. Also, I became more independent. I pay rent to my grandmother now. I help her to pay the bills. She likes that. I like to cook and clean, I do grocery shopping, and I have started a savings account as well. I'm learning how to budget and live independently. And I'm more confident and sociable now. For the first few months, I just observed everyone. And when I was ready, I was talking to my coworkers. And most of them are friendly and nice, and they help me come out of my shell. When I get visitors to the factory, I welcome them. Another change in my life is my iPod Touch. That is my baby. I saved up money and I purchased a 32 gigabyte iPod Touch. It holds about 3,000 songs. I taught myself how to buy songs on iTunes and download CDs, of course, and onto my iPod Touch as well. I buy 1 or 2 CDs a month, and I also buy a few singles from iTunes. You can group songs into playlists. I group mine according to record producers. Rodney Jerkins, that's Dark Child. Y'all know that, right? And Jermaine Dupri, and Dr. Luke. Y'all know anything about music? Okay. I listen to my iPod Touch when I'm on the bus. Sometimes I'm not comfortable when strangers on the bus start talking to me. So when people see me with the headphones, they leave me alone. The headphones help me show others when I'm not ready to socialize. I normally listen to my music all day and when I'm at work. It makes the day go by fast. I take off the headphones during my breaks, so I give my ears a rest. So I listen to music makes me feel comfortable in new places. Tavy told me that he noticed a change in me after 3 months of working at BGS. He said it was like black and white. He said I used to be a cocoon, but I'm not that cocoon anymore. He said because of this outstanding achievement, he was nominated me for the Usdane Award. I was honored. I didn't know then, but another big change was about to happen in my life. Tavy took an action, then started a domino effect in my life. A few months later, Tavy called me to his office. He told me he had good news for me. He said I won the National Usdane Award, and I would be going to Atlanta, Florida to accept it. I felt so proud. I told my coworkers, I told my family members. In May, I stood on stage in front of more than 1,500 people to receive the award and say thank you. I also mentioned that one day I would like to get a driver's license and buy a car. Everyone clapped when they heard that. My grandmother and Tavy were there too. They were surprised because I was talking to everyone. People wanted to shake my hand and give me their business cards, and I enjoyed it. Before I had my job, I would not have enjoyed it. But that was not the only opportunity in my life. I was invited to Washington, D.C. to meet my congressional representatives. It was part of the NISH Grassroots Conference. You see, when you have a disability, you have to fight. You have obstacles you have to conquer. You must deal with things that you don't know how. It's important for people with disabilities to be recognized. So I was going to Washington to speak on behalf of people with disabilities. You see, 1 ounce of help is more valuable than 100 pounds of pity. I also can help people with disabilities because I understand what they are going through. If you are willing to help yourself, I will help you too. And you gotta do what you gotta do. I put on my suit and had appointments with 10 representatives from the state of Ohio. I met Senator Portman, Senator Brown, Congresswoman Sutton, and Congresswoman Ryan. And I also met staff representatives from Congressman Latourette and Congressman Kucinich, Congresswoman Captor, and Congressman T-Berry, and Congresswoman Fudge. What kind of name is that? I reminded them all to think about BGS and people with disabilities. If they do a good job, I might vote for them in the next election. Yes, I'm registered to vote, and I use my voting power. It wasn't all work in Washington, D.C. though. We had some fun. Tavy and Mick Lakovich were my escorts from BGS. When we had some free time, we did as much sightseeing as we could. I got my picture taken in front of everything. I met the White House, the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. We went to an IMAX movie in the space art in the Air and Space Museum. But don't ask Tavy and Mick about it. Right after the movie started, I looked to my right, Mick was asleep. I looked to my left, Tavy was asleep. I guess I wore them out. Another funny thing happened. When our visit to Congressional representatives were over, we were on our way to a receptionist inside the Capitol building. When we got there a little early, we had some extra time. So we walked around, explored the building, and as we wandered around, the Capitol officer told us to get out. He said that area was closed to visitors. What a discrimination. So we went up the staircase, and we realized that we wandered into another closed-off area by accident. So we saw a man walking down the hallway. He was being followed by a crowd of reporters. They were pushing microphones in his face, and they walked past us, and JV recognized him. We were about 40 feet away from Vice President Joe Biden. So that was the exciting part of the trip. So one of my favorite parts of the trip was meeting all the other self-advocates. They had all different types of disabilities, and they were from all over the country. I met self-advocates from California and Washington State. I also met a wounded soldier from Rochester, New York. His name is David Kendrick. He was shot by a sniper in both legs. Ooh. When he was fighting in Iraq, today he's working on the AbilityOne contract now. He got shot fighting for me and for us. It was an honor to meet him. It was an honor to meet all the other self-advocates as well. They were all very nice and had interesting stories to tell. And they were all doing the same thing I was doing. I was proud to be part of this amazing group of people. I left Washington, D.C. feeling that I had done my part to make a difference. When I got home to Cleveland, another amazing thing happened. Tavy remembered that when I was on stage on Orlando, I said I want to get my driver's license. So he gave me the keys to his vehicle. Tavy started teaching me how to drive. I had passed the written exam, of course. All I need to do now is pass the driver's test. I'm a very safe driver. I turn off the radio so I can focus on what I'm doing. But I need to work on my parallel parking and my maneuverability. That's a challenge there. There is some room for improvement in that area. I'm determined though. Am I getting better, right, Tavy?
Yes, you are.
How many of you have driven your supervisor's car? Before you even had a driver's license? I think we all should give Tavy a hand. He's a brave man, you know. But you can trust me when I say, well, one day I will get my driver's license. And that's a promise there. So that's my story so far. And I'm a success story of the AbilityOne Program. And means, yes, I got help along the way from family members, friends, and BGS, and NISH. And probably William Usdane, too. I'm learning to save my money so I can buy a vehicle. My dream is to get a car with a CD player so I can play music, because I love music. So I'm saving up for that now. I'm going to leave you today with a quote from that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. Chris Gardner told his son, you've got a dream, you've got to protect it. If you want something, go get it, period. My dream was to get a job, and I went for it, and I got it. You are all here today because of your dream. Your dream is to level the playing field. Your dream is to change the world. Your dream is to make this world a better place for people with disabilities like me, of course. You are all making your dreams come true. You already know that's not easy. But it is important, and it is worthwhile. And because of your efforts, and more than 47,000 people went up and went to work, including me. And for that, I thank you. My whole family thanks you. So I'm here to remind you to protect your dream. Okay? Just protect your dream. Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. It can be done. Of course. You already did it 47,000 times. You did it before, and you're going to keep doing it. There's no stopping you now. When you are here in Chicago this week, keep your dreams in focus. And don't give up. Protect the dream and help each other. Protect the dream. What you do is very important. And so many people, thank you and have a wonderful day.